What's going on, guys? Gibbs is back, and we are here after the roster lock for RLCS Season 2. So I figured, why not go over where the group stage players from Season 1 ended up on what teams, see where any roster swaps happened. Right now I'm going to focus on North America, so I'll do a video for Europe as well. Europe's a lot more confusing than North America. North America's not too bad, so let's get right into it. First, we will start with the World Champions iBuyPower Cosmic. Their Season 1 roster was Kronovi, Gambit, Overzero, and Lachino. They used all four throughout the season. Gambit didn't go to the LAN. Overzero went instead. They won the entire thing as iBuyPower Cosmic. They have rebranded as G2 eSports. All four of them still on the same team. Gambit, again, will be the sub/coach. They also added Squishy Muffins as a sub for G2 eSports. I'm assuming that Squishy would be the one that would sub in regularly, and Gambit would be more of the coach/manager role. But we'll see what happens throughout the season, because it'll be a long season if they make it into league play. Next up, we have Exodus. Not too much different here. The three starters all coming back. Garrett, Turtle, and Moses all coming back as Exodus. Then Husky, who was a sub for them, who went to the LAN with them, he joined a new team called Trinity. And on Trinity, it is Covenel, like Omega Phoenix, Seahopped, Husky, and Fresno. I'm not sure who's starting on that squad yet, but that's the squad for Husky. And then they also had Stev, who is not playing in RLCS Season 2. Next up, we had Kings of Urban. Had a poor performance at the LAN, but the three starters, they are still playing for Kings of Urban. Like, if there was any team in NA that might have had a lot of swaps, I could see Kings of Urban being one of them, just because of the disappointing performance at the LAN. But they've been dominating during the online phase up until recently, where Genesis has been playing a little bit better. But Sad Jr., Jacob, Fireburn, all coming back from Kings. Even Waffle coming back for Kings to be a sub. Flo was the other sub as well for Kings of Urban, and he is going over to the Genesis squad to sub for them. Speaking of Genesis, we had some roster shakeups here because Quinn Lobdell, he retired from competitive play. So Pluto and Espeon, they are still on Genesis. They had to pick up a third player. They actually pick up Classics, which is not mentioned here because he wasn't on the Season 1 roster, but they picked up Classics. Hot Wheel Sid, he was a sub for them. He has moved on to Team Revival, and Covenel is with Trinity, as we talked about earlier. Hot Wheel Sid, though, with Team Revival. Let's see if I have them listed here. It's Chrome, Hot Wheel Sid, Genocop, probably the three starters. Then Air is subbing, and Prem also subbing over there. So some roster shakeups there for Genesis because of the Quinn retirement. But for the four teams that made it to LAN, all four, like every single starter came back except for Quinn. Quinn's the only one that did not come back. He retired. So besides that, though, NA near the top has stayed the same. There's some teams that are up and coming that can compete for these spots into league play. But for the ones that made it to the LAN, all four teams, for the most part, have the same starters except for Quinn for Classics. Next up, we had Lucky Bounce, the Group Stage 2 #1 seed going into playoffs. They wound up getting third, but did not make LAN. They had a lot of shakeups. There was a lot of weird moves going on for Lucky Bounce for a while. So Timothy, he was always on Lucky Bounce. He stayed there the entire time. Then Darkfire decided to leave at first. He left for like 2 weeks. Of course, I got a phone call in the middle of the recording. Of course. But anyway, Darkfire, he left for like 2 weeks. He tried to test it out with some other teams. Then he came back to Lucky Bounce. Torment did pretty much the same thing. He left after Darkfire left for a little while. Then he came back as well. And they both came back for a short period. And then they both decided to leave once again. So Darkfire and Torment made their own team called Team Vendetta. Timothy stayed with Lucky Bounce to try and form a new squad. Now, Timothy's squad for Lucky Bounce, I don't think I have them listed here, but it is Prime Thunder is a starter. Let me look up the other guys. I thought I had them listed, but it doesn't look like I do. So I'll look up the other guys real quick. Yeah, he has Prime Thunder, Eva as a starter, and then Corrupt as a sub. And then Darkfire and Torment, they went to Vendetta, teaming up with Matt as well as Lefamir and Karma as the 2 subs, I believe. I'm not sure who's starting there. I believe Matt is the 3rd starter on that squad. But let's get back into this. September was the sub for Lucky Bounce. He is not playing in RLCS Season 2. And then we move on to Mocket eSports. They barely missed out on land. They basically missed out on land by 1 game. If Genesis would have lost to Kings of Urban in the Group Stage 2 last game of the regular season, then Mocket had a very good chance of making land. They would have just had to not come in 4th during the playoffs, and they would have made it over Lucky Bounce. Or if Lucky Bounce did not win the playoffs, they still would have made it Mocket. So, Mocket just missing out on land. They had some weird stuff happen as well. Basically, they all quit. They all quit after the end of RLCS Season 2. Like, Insolences was trying out new teams. There was rumors going on about maybe he joins Cosmic after the LAN. Then he was trying out, I think, for a couple others as well. Maybe Lucky Bounce, I can't remember offhand. But Zane Jackie, he tried to sub for Lucky Bounce for a little bit too. He tried out a bunch of different teams. Rizzo quit competitive play. He was like, I'm done. Low 5 basically quit competitive play when he stepped down anyway. And then Chad was more of their coach to begin with. But it took them about like a month and a half. And then they're like, you know what? We can't really find any other teams that are really fitting for these players. And then they decided, what the hell? Let's try for this again. Rizzo comes back to competitive play. Insolences and Zane Jackie, after trying out for other teams, decided, hey, we work pretty well together. We barely missed the first LAN. Maybe we can get there this time. So they reformed the entire squad as Take 2. So they lose the Mocket sponsorship and now form Take 2. I wanted to make a MS Paint logo for Take 2 in honor of Low 5, but I forgot. So we just have the Mocket logo for them. But all 5 coming back together, but just under a different name, under Take 2. So you can look out for them during the qualifying, see if they can make it back into league play. Next up, retrospect. We talked about Classics earlier. All these guys kind of disbanded and formed different teams right away, right after they didn't make LAN. They all disbanded, and it took a little while for Classics to find a spot. He was trying out for a bunch of different teams. He had his own team for a little while, and then he finally settles in on Genesis. And then we have Geno Cop and Chrome. They decide to go over to Team Revival, who, if I remember correctly, was Hot Wheels Sid. Yeah, Hot Wheels Sid will be playing with them as the 3 starters over there. And Kyle Mask, he is not playing this time around. Basically, Geno Cop and Hot Wheels Sid reform in Team Orbit, except for Zane Jackie, who's over on the Take 2 squad. So they picked up Chrome to fill in the void there. So, we're almost done. We have just 1 or 2 more teams left. I don't know why this is not where. There we go. Selfless. Yeah, Selfless is the last team left. They had a disappointing Group Stage 2. Even a disappointing Group Stage 1, but they made it to both, which was pretty impressive. A-Money moving over to Team Hopeless. And on that squad, it is Menchaca, who, if you've been following the scene for a while, he used to be a big player during the beginning of the scene of Rocket League. And then Vortex and Sham will be also on that roster. I'm not sure who the sub is there. But so he's moving over to Team Hopeless. Matt moving over to Vendetta, probably as a starter. And Sizz moving over to Exodus as a sub. He has performed extremely well. He's probably the best sub there is for any of these teams in North America on the Exodus squad. Squishy Muffins, I'd probably say, is like the number 2 sub for G2. But that's the team there. But there is a new Selfless squad coming in. Selfless actually picked up Team Momentum, who's been looking really good. They didn't make the RLCS Season 1, but they've been looking really hot going into Season 2. So look out for them with Dapper, Miho, J-Naps, and Timmy. But that's it, guys, for the North America Group Stage teams from last time. Like, I figured I would take only Group Stage 2, not Group Stage 1. And these are the teams where these guys will be playing for RLCS Season 2. So if you're looking at that bracket and trying to root for some of these guys, go check out their teams and go cheer them on during the qualifying periods. But on that, guys, I am out. I hope to see you guys watching some of these qualifying games. The first weekend is September 10th for North America. Yeah, September 10th is the day. that will not be broadcasted, but when we're down to like the top 64, we will be broadcasting week number 2, September 17th on twitch.tv/Rocket League, as always. And hope you guys can check that out, and it should be a good time. That there's a lot of competition for these top 8 spots this time around, and also a lot more money to go around for these teams. They're guaranteed $3,500 if they make league play. So we'll see who makes it. And on that, guys, I'm out. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. Later.